Hi, in this video, we'll introduce you to a concept called CLI insertion. Basically, we've entered clone mode in DevOps Shell. We are currently in clone mode. And in this first clone, we SSH into a remote server. We'll rename this clone, uh, call this remote 1. And this one, we'll call it local 1. We are local. This is using a local connection. So in our local collection, we're going to enter the clone. Remember, we're in clone mode, so if we type commands in the parent, it will execute on both. We don't want to do that yet. What we want to do is go into this clone, and we have MySQL running on the local host, and we have MongoDB running on a remote host. We already have the remote connection established here. So in the local connection, we will load MySQL. And here we go. We are now currently in a MySQL shell within this DevOps shell. Just like in your regular operating system shell, no difference. We just entered a MySQL shell. In this remote host, this is the SSH session. We have Mongo running. We would start Mongo, actually enter Mongo in the remote host. There we go. And we have a test database. We'll use test. Let's do a show collections. We have a zips collections. Okay. So we have a zips collections, and this is a MySQL. Both are two servers, two different locations. Now, if we go back to the parent and we send a command, for example, show collections, this command will go to both the MySQL and the Mongo database. We'll hit enter and see what happens. The Mongo ran correctly. It showed us the output of zips. The MySQL, of course, returned an error because it doesn't understand show collections. So now we can send a command to, we'll go back to Mongo and we'll do a search, db.zips.find. And notice the command only executes in this shell. It does not execute in this one because we entered the command individually here and not in the parent. In the MySQL connection, we could do a status. This is simply return the status of the database. It tells us the version and not connected. So now in the MySQL system, if we wanted to keep a copy of the output from a MySQL query, for example, the status, we could, within MySQL, we could actually run the DevOps Shell command. So we could use a note, because we're storing a value to the note, space, and we could send the MySQL command just like we did before, /status. Hit enter, and here we go. The command, the MySQL command that we put in, and the output. MySQL shell 8.02, NoSQL, which is exactly what we had here. Now, this is the output of MySQL, and this is running MySQL on our local host, but within the MySQL shell, we're running DevOps Shell commands. Notice after the DevOps Shell command has been executed, it no longer shows here. It will only show you the MySQL command that you executed. Now, in the Mongo connection on the remote host, we will do the same thing, but this time we'll send to a node the query, db.zips, I believe it's zips, or zip.find. Yeah, okay, there we go. So now, if we expand our window, you can see the outputs from the Mongo. This is the query, zips, and this is the output. There we go. We just captured the output. Now, if we wanted to capture the JSON, we could do a db.zips. Actually, we'll send it to a DevOps Shell note, db.zips.find.pretty, and we'll set a limit of 1. And here we go. We captured the 1 document. Here's the output. and this is the input. Now what we will do, we will turn on auto notes. Auto notes on. We go back to Mongo, and we do show collections. There we go. Our show collections ran, and this is the output. db.zips.find command ran. Here's the output. We don't have to do the colon note command because automatically everything is going to notes because we have the auto note on. We could go to MySQL. We'll do the same. We'll do /status. Send the status command results. There we go. This is the output of the status command that shows here. So as you can see, we can continue to work freely in multiple shells with the auto note on and have a copy of every command entered in the output. Every DevOps shell command entered in output. Operating system commands are not stored. Only DevOps shell commands are stored in the history. So I'm sorry, in notes, in auto notes. So we can continue to work as usual, no difference. And if we exit Mongo, first of all, let's turn off auto notes. We need to turn this off. Auto notes off. As you can see, it's off. If we did a dbzips.find, no updates happen here because auto notes are off. There we go. And also with notes, if we wanted to delete items, we could simply hit the trash can button, delete, 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 and we could go on and delete. Now, if we want to clear all the notes, if we had hundreds of notes, it would take too long to delete. We just click the clear all. We'll get a confirmation and we clear. We're not going to do that. And that is how we could clear it. Now, if we capture this output, let's do something more interesting. Let's do a note with db.find. Also, we can name our notes if we'd like also by including a name for the notes, like my query results, for example. That's so. And here we would enter the db.zips.find. Oops, sorry. Note my query results. ESULTS db.zips.find. There we go. So as you can tell, when you're creating the note name, we don't use quotes. Just the variable name that we want to assign to it. There's no need for quotes, just the variable name and what we want to store. So instead of the note name being clone 1, 2, 3, we'd add a clone a note underscore 3. Instead, we have my query results, the name that we assign to this output. This is good if we need to capture output. That's very important, and we need to identify it later on. We send it to a note with a name, with an actual name to store, and this will handle that part of it. The next thing we can do, we can go to MySQL. We can maximize our windows here. Sorry. Remove this and work on this and not see anything else. This will give us a plain shell. If we're comfortable with just a plain shell, we can also do the same here. And that is it for DevOps Shell with clones. This is a very, very powerful way of working with multiple clones, sending commands individually. Notice we didn't use the parent shell to send much commands because we're in 2 different environments. Now, if we were connected to Mongo on this machine and also this machine, then we can use the parent to dispatch commands across both clones. This would be great if we were connected to database server 1 and database server 2, and we wanted to do an insert of a document in both databases. We could just simply do the insert command in the parent, and that will insert in both boxes simultaneously. So rather than go from one box to the other, we could just set up our connections in both boxes, go to the parent, and do all our work, all the commands from the parent. This will work if it's 2 clones or 100 clones, it'll work the same way. And that is our introduction. Thank you.